Some people hide their past, some hide their pain, and some hide their parents. For Javelin, his father was a problem. Not because he was bad, not because he was cruel, but because he was poor. Old clothes, rough hands, simple words. Nothing impressive, nothing to show, nothing to be proud of in Javelin's eyes. "Don't come to my workplace," Javelin said once, his voice cold, sharp, embarrassed. The old man nodded, quietly, without arguing, without asking why, because he understood more than his son thought. "I just wanted to see you," the father said softly. Javelin didn't answer, because sometimes silence is easier than truth. But that silence can break someone, and slowly it did. It didn't happen in one day, not suddenly, not loudly. It started small, with discomfort, with embarrassment, with excuses. Javelin avoided him, calls unanswered, visits delayed, conversations shortened, because the truth was simple. He didn't want people to see him. Not like that. Not dressed like that. Not speaking like that. He doesn't fit my life, Javelin thought. And that thought slowly became a decision. One evening, he sat across from his father. The room was quiet. Too quiet. As if something already knew what was coming. "I've found a place," Javelin said, his voice controlled, careful, neutral. The old man looked at him, curious. "What place?" he asked. "A care home." Silence. Not shocked, not angry, just quiet. Because sometimes the heart understands before the mind reacts. "You'll be comfortable there," Javelin added quickly. "They'll take care of you." No response, just a slow nod. Because what could he say? What could he ask? When the decision was already made. "I don't want to be a burden," the father said softly. That word cut deep, but not for the son, for himself, because he believed it, and that belief hurt more than anything. The next day, they went. A simple building, clean, quiet, full of people who were left behind. Javelin signed the papers, quickly, without looking too much, because looking would make it real, and he didn't want to feel it. "Take care," he said, standing up, ready to leave. The old man nodded. Again, no questions, no complaints, just one last look. Not asking him to stay, not asking him to change, just looking. And sometimes that look says everything. He didn't complain, not once. No anger, no questions, no blame. Just silence. The kind of silence that carries everything. The old man sat in his new room, small, clean, empty. Just a bed, a chair, a window, and memories. So many memories. He looked outside. People walking, cars passing, life moving forward, as if nothing had changed. But everything had. Because sometimes you don't lose a place, you lose a person. And he had just lost his son. Not physically, but emotionally, completely. A nurse came in. "Do you need anything?" she asked kindly. He shook his head. No, because what he needed wasn't something anyone could give. Days passed, quietly. Routine. Breakfast, medicine, rest, silence. Other elderly people talked, shared stories, laughed sometimes. But he didn't. Not much. Because his story stayed inside. One evening, he took out a small box. Old, worn, carefully kept. Inside were things no one saw. A child's photo, a small toy, a school certificate, his son's name on it. Javelin. He smiled slightly, not because he was happy, but because he remembered. The little boy who once held his hand. The boy who once said, "Dad, don't leave me." And now, everything was reversed. No one saw it. Not clearly, not completely, because sacrifice is often silent, invisible, unnoticed, especially by those it's made for. The old man sat there, holding that small box, looking at each memory one by one, not as objects, but as moments, real moments, hard ones, cold mornings, long nights, endless work, all for one purpose. His son, Javlon. There was a photo, a small boy, smiling, happy, without worries, because someone else was carrying them. There was a paper, a school certificate, excellent performance. He remembered that day, how proud he was, how he stood outside the school, waiting, just to hear those words. My son did well. There was a small toy, cheap, simple, but special, because he remembered something else. He didn't buy himself shoes that winter just to buy that toy, because his son's smile was enough, always enough. He worked harder than his body allowed, skipped meals, saved every coin, not for comfort, not for himself, but for a future, his son's future, a better life, a better chance, a better world. And he gave it, everything, without asking for anything back, without expecting anything, because that's what love does. It gives, completely, silently. And now, he sat alone, in a room where none of those sacrifices were seen. None of them mattered. At least, not to the one they were made for. There are sacrifices that people see, and there are sacrifices that remain hidden, not because they are small, but because they were never meant to be noticed. The old man held the box tighter, as if those memories were the only thing left. But inside that box, there was something else, something no one knew, something he never told, not even once. A folded paper, carefully hidden, protected, as if it held something important, because it did. He opened it slowly, his hands shaking, not from age, but from memory. Years ago, when life was harder, when there was no money, no stability, no certainty, there was a moment, a difficult one, a choice between himself and his son. He remembered the doctor's words. "You need treatment," they said. "It's serious." But treatment cost money, more than he had, more than he could afford. And at the same time, his son needed something else. School, education, a chance, a future. And he chose. Not himself, never himself. "I'll be fine," he told the doctor. A lie, a quiet one, but a powerful one. Because from that moment, his life changed. He worked more, harder, ignoring pain, ignoring weakness, ignoring himself, just to make sure his son never had to struggle, never had to feel that kind of choice. And now, years later, that same son didn't even know, didn't see, didn't understand, and maybe never would. Because some sacrifices are made quietly and stay quiet forever. Days passed, quietly, like always. Javelin didn't visit, not because he forgot, but because he chose not to. Work, meetings, life, everything felt more important. At least that's what he told himself. Until one day, he got a call. Unknown number, short, cold. "Your father isn't well." Silence. Not emotional, not dramatic, just information. And for a moment, Javelin didn't move, didn't react. didn't feel, because sometimes people train themselves not to feel. But something inside him shifted, not strongly, not clearly, but enough. He went. The same building, the same door, but it felt different now. He walked inside, slower than before, less confident, more aware. A nurse approached him. "You're his son?" she asked. He nodded. She looked at him, not judging, but not soft either. "He's been asking about you," she said. That sentence hit deeper than expected, because asking means waiting, and waiting means hoping, and hope means he still cared. Javelin entered the room. Empty. Too empty. The bed, the chair, the window, but no one there. "He passed this morning," the nurse said quietly. Silence. Heavy. Final. Javelin stood still, not crying, not speaking, just there. Because sometimes the moment you realize something comes too late. "Before he passed," the nurse added, "he left this for you. A letter. Simple. Folded. Carefully. As if it held something important. Because it did." He opened it slowly, his hands slightly shaking now. He opened it slowly, carefully, and began to read. "My son." Those two words broke something inside him, because even after everything, he still called him that. My son. My son. The words stayed there, not just on the paper, but inside him, deep, uncomfortable, real. Javelin continued reading, slowly, carefully, as if every word could change something. "I hope you are well." Simple, warm, as always. Not a single word of anger, not a single word of pain. Just care, even now, even at the end. "I'm sorry if I ever made your life harder." Javelin froze. His eyes stopped. His breath changed. Because that sentence made no sense. Sorry? For what? For everything he gave? For everything he sacrificed? "I tried my best to give you a better life. I know it wasn't perfect, but I hope it was enough." Silence. Because sometimes the kindest words hurt the most. "I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want you to feel ashamed." That word again, ashamed. And suddenly, everything came back. Every moment, every time he avoided him, every time he looked away, every time he chose silence instead of love. And now, it was all here, on one piece of paper, final, unchangeable. "I was always proud of you." That line broke him, completely, because he never heard it before, not once, not when it mattered, and now he would never hear it again. "I love you." The last line, simple, quiet, too late. Javelin lowered the paper, his hands shaking, his eyes finally filled, because now he understood everything. But understanding came too late. The room felt smaller, not because it changed, but because he did. Javelin sat down slowly, still holding the letter, as if letting go of it meant losing him again, and this time, forever. His eyes moved across the room, the empty bed, the chair, the window. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. Because now he knew. The man who once waited was gone, and the son who never came was still there. That truth was unbearable. He closed his eyes, and memories came back. not softly, not gently, but clearly, painfully. His father standing outside his workplace, waiting, just to see him, and him turning away. His father calling, and him ignoring. His father smiling, and him feeling embarrassed. Each memory a wound, each moment a regret. And now there was no way back, no second chance, no apology, no "I'm sorry," because sometimes the moment to say it passes and never returns. "I should have gone," he whispered. "I should have stayed. I should have listened." But should have doesn't change anything. It only reminds you what you didn't do. And that is the hardest pain. Grief doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it comes as clarity, sharp, sudden, unavoidable. Javlon sat there, still holding the letter, but now he wasn't reading it. He was understanding it. Every word, every line, every silence between the lines. And slowly, a picture formed, not of the present, but of the past. His father's life, the life he never saw, the mornings he worked early, the nights he came home late, the meals he skipped, the things he never bought for himself, all for one purpose: him, Javlon. And suddenly, the memories changed. They weren't just moments anymore. They were sacrifices, real sacrifices, hidden ones, unspoken ones, the kind that don't ask for recognition, the kind that don't demand gratitude, the kind that simply give completely. And now he saw it, too clearly, too late. "He wasn't a burden," Javlon whispered, his voice shaking. "I was." Silence. Because that truth cut deeper than anything else. His Falu never made him feel small, never made him feel ashamed, never made him feel like he wasn't enough. But he did all of that to the man who gave him everything. Grief doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it comes as clarity, sharp, sudden, unavoidable. Javlon sat there, still holding the letter, but now he wasn't reading it. He was understanding it. Every word, every line, every silence between the lines. And slowly, a picture formed, not of the present, but of the past. His father's life, the life he never saw, the mornings he worked early, the nights he came home late, the meals he skipped, the things he never bought for himself, all for one purpose: him, Javlon. And suddenly, the memories changed. They weren't just moments anymore. They were sacrifices, real sacrifices, hidden ones, unspoken ones, the kind that don't ask for recognition, the kind that don't demand gratitude, the kind that simply give completely. And now he saw it, too clearly, too late. "He wasn't a burden," Javlon whispered, his voice shaking. "I was." Silence. Because that truth cut deeper than anything else. His Falu never made him feel small, never made him feel ashamed, never made him feel like he wasn't enough. But he did all of that to the man who gave him everything. And now there was nothing left to fix, nothing left to say, nothing left to do, only something left to carry: truth, heavy, constant, forever. Some endings don't fix anything. They don't bring people back. They don't change the past. They don't give a second chance. They just leave a lesson. And sometimes that lesson is everything. Javlon stood outside. The sky was quiet, too calm, as if the world didn't notice what he lost, but he did, completely. For the first time, He wasn't thinking about success, not about status, not about what people think, but about one thing: a man who waited, who loved, who gave everything and asked for nothing. His father. "I never said thank you," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I never said I was proud. And now, I never will." Silence. Because some words belong to a moment, and if that moment passes, they disappear with it. Javlon went back home, but it didn't feel like home because something was missing. Not furniture, not space, but presence. The presence he once ignored and now could never get back. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Life continued, as it always does. But inside him, something changed forever. He became different, not stronger, but more aware, more human, more careful. Because now he understood something too late. Love is not something you show when it's convenient. It's something you show while you still can. If this story made you think, don't wait to show love to your parents, because one day they might stop waiting for it. And when that happens, no success, no regret, no time can bring them back. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because sometimes the hardest stories teach the most important truths.